everybody, how you doing? Well, today, can you guess what we're going to talk about? Spider-Man! So, when this video premieres, it'll be after we find out the price of Maximum Spider-Man. Now, a lot of people say, "Oh, Spider-Man's my favorite character." Or should I say that in a Hordak voice? Spider-Man is my favorite character. And that's all fine and dandy. He's not my favorite character. I like Spider-Man. I like Spider-Man just fine. But at the same time, he's not my favorite character. Now, I freely admit I have more Spider-Man figures than I would like. Let me say it that way. But they are looks that I enjoy. So, let me talk about a couple of these here. These two sit on my desk, the Armored Spider-Man and the regular Spider-Man. I really love that armored look. It's one of my favorite one of my favorite comic book covers is that Web of Spider-Man. It's just different and interesting. Regular Spider-Man, because that's what he looked like for decades. Black costume Spider-Man, because that was a decent change. Ben Reilly, I do like this costume, even though I'm not a big fan of the Clone Saga. Superior Spider-Man, I don't hate that storyline, but it's not near and dear to me as many other Spider-Man stories. And then Miles, I kind of dig Miles. I mean, he's not my favorite other Spider-Man, we'll say it that way, but I do like him, and I just figured I needed a figure of him. So, my original goals was these three. I've gone way past that. Because Hasbro keeps releasing more. And then I like some of them. It's like, But now the big controversy is the Maximum Spider-Man. Before I get to that, let me talk about these webs. I made them myself. I think they look pretty cool. This is the first one I ever did. This is the second. That's the third. These two are probably going to go to Ben next. But the best thing is you can twist them any way you want, do anything you want with them. And it is very simple, and there are thousands of YouTube videos on it. It's simple bouquet twine, white. You twist it, and it works great. It looks good. I'm going to do some for my 1/18 scale Spider-Man figures as well, so it's cool. Anyway, point being, now everybody's speculating what the Maximum Spider-Man price is. Some have said as high as $75. I tend to lean towards the highest number, and then when it's lower, I'm not upset. But a lot of people are saying, "No, man, it's going to be $35." I doubt that very seriously. Some people say it's $50. I doubt that very seriously. But I did decide something today when I was looking around my room, doing a couple of things, and I said, I ain't buying it if it's $25. Because I have the Renew Your Vows, I have the first appearance Spidey, I have a bunch of Spideys. I have too many Spider-Mans. I'm Spider-Man out. I have Spider-Man burnout. Seriously. And I just don't need another one. There's just no reason to get it. This one I like a whole lot. He's a good representation of like a 17, 18-year-old Spider-Man, which is kind of where I always picture Spider-Man. Spider-Man's grown up now. And, he looks different. But, this is the classic costume. This is what I always went to. This is what I always liked. He's posable enough. He's not perfect in posability, but damn, he's good. And to me, that settled it. All the others, I can take or leave. I mean, this Ben Reilly one, even if they improve it, I'm probably not going to buy it again because I think that one's fine. What I need is a good representation. And I see people all the time, they have hundreds of Spideys on there in their displays. Now, I have hundreds of Iron Man, so, you know, maybe I shouldn't talk. But at the same time, I'm different. I like Iron Man better than Spider-Man, sorry. But it's the truth. Again, doesn't mean I don't like Spider-Man. But really, the Clone Saga was one. One More Day was the other. That was it. After those two things, I could not get into Spider-Man the way I used to. It is impossible for me. I still love the old stories. I still have the old stories. And I still keep the old stories. Those are great, and I love them. And, you know, nothing's going to change that. But it's Todd McFarlane. Yeah, well, Todd McFarlane, so what? What blasphemy? What? It's Todd McFarlane. You know, there were plenty of people that drew Spider-Man before McFarlane, and some I thought who drew him better. Really. I don't think Todd McFarlane was the best Spider-Man artist. How can you say that? Well, first off, it's an opinion. You know, I could really get into it. One thing, I thought the eyes were too big, you know, that kind of thing. But again, that is a preference thing. You know, I mean, that's just, a lot of people got introduced to that artwork when they got introduced to Spider-Man. I was already on the ship long before that, and had gotten used to Spider-Man looking slightly different. That's not to say you shouldn't make Spider-Man look different. Of course you should, but make it your own. But at the same time, there's a core there. And I always thought McFarlane kind of went off the rails on it. Again, personal opinion. Plus, you know, I mean, can anyone remember a storyline from that era? Seriously? Oh, there was that one where Spider-Man and Wolverine got together. What was the plot of that? That went 5 issues. What was going on? That's the thing about that era. You have a hard time finding people who remember the stories. It's easy to remember the artwork, but the storylines, yeah, not so much. But that's okay. I mean, I always remember Kraven's Last Hunt. That wasn't McFarlane. I always remember that storyline where Doc Ock had him trapped underneath that big pile of machinery. And he finally picked it up off of himself. The death of Gwen Stacy, the death of Green Goblin. Hell, I even remember Clone Saga. But does anybody even remember what the assassination plot was about? That was a storyline while Todd was there. Nah. Kind of remember Maximum Carnage, but Todd was not there anymore. Yeah, nobody kind of talks about this kind of stuff with comic history. Still, that's the point. I think McFarlane is a little over celebrated. Let's say it that way. Now, does that mean I hate McFarlane? Not really, no. I got plenty of the books from that run. And, you know, there are some enjoyable ones in it. There's some weird ones, too. I did not like Todd McFarlane's regular Spider-Man comic. That one didn't... It felt like nothing was going on, to be perfectly honest. But, at the same time, the major topic is that Maximum Spider-Man. I mean, and that's why I kind of brought the webs out. I feel like I made webs that are better than what are included in that pack. I mean, unless you want a spider splooge. Can't believe they did that. And, you know, I don't like the webs that they put him with. I don't like... Some of the effects are okay, but, you know, that splooge one is awful. And the figure is just another Spider-Man figure. It's just like... Okay, what? You got an extra point of articulation from what I can tell. Even if it's 35, it's I don't feel like it's worth it. And don't tell me they're not going to reuse that body, because you got this one, you got this one, possibly this one that you can do. I mean, yeah, they'll reuse that body. Hasbro is about reuse. They never do anything unless they know what they're going to reuse it for next. Unless it's MCU, that's the only exception. But as far as the main Legends line, nah, they're going to do something. They're going to make some reuse out of it. And I got a feeling that figure is going to cost a lot. Why do I think that? Because it's Hasbro. Remember when they released the PlayStation Spider-Man with like a couple of hands and a web effect for $35? You remember when they put out a HasLab and it was a car with the top, middle, and bottom? Does anyone remember when, I mean, let's just stop and think about it for a minute. How about when they did the anniversary edition of Toad and he was the same price as all the other figures, but didn't have hardly anything, and he was smaller? And I have that Toad. He's right over there on my X-Men shelf. I like that Toad. But I ain't gonna lie and say he wasn't overpriced. That's Hasbro. They will get their money one way or another. They will try hard and they will get it. So when I hear about something outrageously priced from Hasbro, I'm like, probably. You know, let's look at Odin. I thought that figure was overpriced. Now, that granted, he had a lot going on, but yeah, I thought he was overpriced. Remember when they released Ronin for $40? He was mostly using the Colossus body that had already been released in the regular line. I mean, I think the only thing was the torso. $40 when they had previously sold it for 20. And no, it was 20, not 25. I mean, you know they could make bank just releasing Daredevil by himself. What do they always do? Put him in with another figure. Punisher with Bushwhacker. They could have released that Punisher alone and made a lot. But no. Put him in with Bushwhacker to get rid of Bushwhacker. Brown costume Wolverine would have went great with Sabretooth. But instead they give us a cowboy hat version. Seeing a pattern here. How long was it before they did a regular Magneto that wasn't in a 3-pack? And they still got him wrong. Hey, remember that Blob figure? That was overpriced. Way overpriced. A lot of us grabbed it because it's like, well, we need a Blob, man. Especially when you consider that the big-ass Hulk was released the year before that is bigger than the Blob for $32. What about Destroyer? Released in a 2-pack with Thor. Bigger than the Blob. But if we put that Thor at $25, which, by the way, the figure he was based on was not 25. And then that destroyer is another 25. Wait a minute. Do you think maybe they knew it would sell, but not that well? So what they did was they decided, hey, let's combine those two, and we'll make a little bit of money. Super Adaptoid, was that worth $70 freaking dollars? Especially since they had a Surtur that was all new tooling a couple of years before, which was less. Why did that go to Ollie's, huh? Indeed, you can sit here all day and find examples of, wait a minute, Hasbro did this and then did this. Yeah, because they do that a lot. And that's why I don't trust this Maximum Spidey is going to be 50. Damn sure ain't going to be 35. He's going to be expensive, and that in and of itself caused me to go, no, I'm not buying it. But I also have enough Spider-Mans. And that gets me to one of my major points is, why do so many people buy so many Spider-Mans? It's like, and I'm not talking about these variations here. This I understand. I do it myself. I mean, this same costume. I personally have Renew Your Vows, Amazing Fantasy, and this one. Those are my 3 Spider-Mans. These are the first Spider-Mans I've owned since Spider-Man Classics. Let me repeat that. Spider-Man Classics. That was 20 years ago. I sold the regular Spidey. I kept the symbiote Spidey. I still have that symbiote Spidey. And first off, he's freaking tiny compared to most of these Marvel Legends now. But, okay, we'll let that go because, they were still learning. And, again, the point is I didn't buy a whole lot of Spidey, So maybe if you're into the movies and you get Andrew and Toby and all of them, okay, fine. But again, how many variations of this are you going to be able to handle? And, honestly, I think the one that came with Spidey and his amazing friends might have been the best one. But I didn't like the Iceman. And I had the Firestar, except now she had double joints, but I had the Firestar. So, again, didn't buy it. If I saw it on deep enough clearance, I would have bought it. But, again, it's like I'm sitting here going, okay, I love, I get you love Spider-Man. I love Wolverine. I'm trying to think of characters I love. Cap, Thor. Iron Man's a bad example because I do have a ton of them. So, but you know what I don't have a ton of is Iron Man's original suit, his second suit, the one that it's the most popular. I have one of those. Anything else is a repaint. And when I say repaint, it's like the stealth version or whatever. This is the part I don't understand. This same design. And it's a cool design. It's Spider-Man. It's a cool design. But that costume done over. At least I can argue Amazing Fantasy is a different costume. Because there are differences. I can even argue that Renew Your Vows is a different costume. Because there are big differences. But this, yes, it can't be a video without me breaking something. This basic idea right here. This one, the red and blue and the webbing on it. This right here. How many times can you buy that? How many times can you own that? And to me, it's like once. These, while drawing inspiration from this design, are not this design. They are very distinct. But of course, then again, they're doing the same thing with this guy. Now, this is the game version of Miles. And I purposely had him sitting up there because he kind of doesn't fit the mold of everything. But again, they keep selling us this. They're selling him again in the mini comic line. Now me, I'm like, I don't need that. I got this. This is cool by itself. I dig it. I'm fine. They're trying to do the same thing with Miles, I feel like. Into the Spider-Verse. How many times have we done this similar costume in that style? No, thankfully I don't like those figures. So, you know, I've not even been tempted once. But still, you see the point I'm trying to make. They're trying to sell you the same thing over and over. That's what this Maximum Spidey is. Well, we want it this way or that way. Okay, fine, whatever. But why are you still buying this? Why are you buying the stuff they put out anyway? Because I got a bad feeling they're gonna release this Maximum Spidey, and next year it's gonna be another one. Another red and blue with webs Spider-Man that maybe, oh, well, they added a little, I don't know. Who knows what they'd add? I mean, I say this because I went through this with Star Wars Vintage Collection, and I got so mad because they released a Jedi Luke, and they had his hair parted the wrong way. I bought it just because I wanted a Jedi Luke. The following year, they released it and had the hair parted right, and people were going, oh, they got it right this time. But everything that was wrong with that Jedi Luke, the previous Jedi Luke, was still wrong. It wasn't a perfect figure. So the point was like, man, they're going to tweak these one at a time till they milk it. I got a little fed up. I didn't stop collecting, but I did get a little bit choosier. So there's that. And right now, I saw this happen with G.I. Joe. They did it with Snake Eyes. I saw this happen with Star Wars, mostly Vader and Luke. And you'd be surprised how many variations of Vader they can make. Go look at the history of Star Wars. It's amazing. Boba Fett was another one. And they milk it, and then they finally run out. Classified has figured that out, and they don't do it as much. They do it. Remember Caramel Crunch Snake Eyes? Yeah, that thing. But at the same time, I didn't fall for it then. I don't fall for it now. That's the point I'm trying to make. Is they're just trying to release you the same thing over and over and over, and it gets old. And sometimes you got to just look at it and say, no, I'm happy with what I got. I'm going to keep it. Buy what makes you happy. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to do all the YouTube stuffs. I hope some of this had some meaning for you. I had fun doing it. Thank you. You have a good day.